All right. Well, Happy New Year, John.
Happy New Year, Nick. Happy New Year, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, guys.
You,
Happy New Year,
you,
John. It's good to see you. Nick,
Nice.
we have the little names in the corner, and Matt or John's got Holy Schmoly, and then Matt, when he first came on, he actually had his name.
Mm-hmm.
I think he
Not
got
now.
sick of us making fun of him because now he's got that fucking guy. It's fitting. It's
Yes.
really fitting. It's that Matt, that fucking guy.
That fucking
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Well,
So when people-
That would be fine unless you're doing, low class porn. Then there's a little different emphasis to it.
and depending on
Well,
which side of
that's
it you're on.
what-
Huh?
Right. And what kind of porn do you think we do? Come on. It's all low class.
I'm looking at you. I know what class you do.
That's right.
You teach a class, don't you? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Speaking of,
This should be a good segue.
no, I have no segue. You had mentioned something, and I thought there was a perfect segue into not only the Happy New Year, but the Sad New Year, because one of the finest people on earth,
Betty
someone who
White.
I was in love with, even at 99 years old, has passed away.
Betty
It's very sad.
White.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife actually cried.
Oh,
Really?
That's sweet.
Yeah. I was like, hey, you really crying? She's like, yeah, I guess all
It's
the nights
sad.
of her watching Golden Girls when my oldest wouldn't sleep and just growing up on that stuff. She said she was going to be upset. I don't think she's got out of bed since.
That's sweet,
It's-
though.
Yeah.
It's Betty, I mean,
Yeah.
that talk about someone, an icon who
Oh.
really made a difference in this world, just by her humor.
And
really,
I'm sorry to interrupt. This was just as an aside.
are you though, John?
No, not when it's you. As an aside, she was married to whom?
If you wouldn't have asked me, I would have been able to tell
Oh,
you. 'cause
It's been like 41 years he's been dead now.
Yeah.
1981 or two. It's in the 80s anyway. But
Yeah,
Alan,
it was-
Alan Ludden was his name.
Right.
And,
Right.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Where was he born?
Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Close.
Oh,
Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Mineral Point, Wisconsin.
Where my dad grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was born in Waukesha?
Some people. Are you
Someone even more important than Betty White, who also lived to be well into his 90s.
born in Waukesha?
Mm-hmm.
Or as they used to say on the Today Show, Waukesha.
It's not Waukesha.
I know it's not, but they didn't.
Come on.
Do a little
Anyone?
research.
Anyone? I'll give you a hint.
I'm guessing it's an astronaut at some point.
Nope, it's a musician.
Prince.
Oh, Les Paul.
Les Paul.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Boom.
Inventor, for those of you who don't know who Les Paul is, he is the inventor, sort of. There are some debates about this, but I think he was the inventor of the solid state guitar,
Yeah.
electric guitar, and also the inventor of multi-track recording,
And
which is how we can do what we're doing right now.
an exceptional guitar player, but also
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
a really good guy. He played with some of the all-time greats, and he was a cool guy. Like many people from Cheeseland.
Right, absolutely.
I know
Yeah,
you guys all think very highly of yourselves up there.
Well, when you get beyond the cheddar curtain, Matt, it's. Are you talking football? Because dang,
Definitely not these guys down here.
honestly, the Browns are. Well,
Yeah,
let's
it's a
move
shame.
along.
I was going to say it's
As
what
they
you find
will-
in
as
your.
they will this year too, I'm sure. Time to rebuild.
I will say I enjoyed professional sports. I enjoyed watching the Cavs with one of our clients some years back, and he had the floor seats, and it was awesome. But I had never had access like that to a professional game, and it was pretty amazing. So, and that was in Cleveland. I loved it.
Those are pretty epic experiences, aren't they?
For sure.
So,
They did the
speaking of-
mirrors underneath the car when we entered. That was cool.
I was going to the mirrors somewhere, but we were going back to the whole porn thing. So one thing though, going in a totally different direction. That's one thing I got for Christmas. I actually got tickets. My wife bought me tickets to the Predators versus the Minnesota Wild. And the one thing I can't find, I can find almost every other team out there, even Cleveland. I can find a House Divided shirts. Can't find one for Predators in Minnesota. So if anyone finds a House Divided shirt or jersey for the Nashville Predators and the Minnesota Wild, please let me know, because I will probably throw a lot of money at that.
Yeah, I bet there's quite a request for that.
Wow.
Seriously.
I get no respect on this podcast.
Well,
you know what?
I don't think you started this podcast because you were looking for respect.
That is so true.
If so, it was a bad idea.
So true. So speaking of respect, Matt.
I don't have any. I'm not going to give you any either.
No self-respecting person would live in Ohio, right? Or Cleveland.
Wow.
Not in the wintertime.
Not in the wintertime. Well, we were talking about that earlier before we came on the podcast. John was showing off that it's 75 degrees in Florida, or 70 degrees in Florida, and he's wearing flip-flops. He decided to show everyone again. I can smell it through the camera.
He could climb the wall with those toes.
They do not smell because they're open. New? Yeah, yours are like, no, they're not brand new. But it is part of my, as a quick interjection, part of my uniform. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pair of jeans, they're pristine because I don't wear them, except when I ride the Harley.
Nice. Well, Matt, your temperature is low, but you have really no snow, right?
Yep.
And so we were talking about how a couple of days ago here in Nashville, it was 75 degrees. And then this morning we wake up to an inch of snow and 26 degrees. It's crazy, but I am in heaven right now because there's still snow. It's not on the ground anymore, but there's still some snow hanging off in the trees.
You're
and I'm in heaven. I know. I know. Maybe I should change my name to that fucking guy.
Yeah, that fucking guy. I can't. I don't know how you guys like it. It's sunny today, but other than that, it's fucking gray for 5 days straight. Looks like the Twilight Zone. Nick's like, "Oh, that's wonderful." What the fuck is wrong with you?
I love that
wonderful weather. Like I said, vampires like shit up in Twilight.
Yeah.
Seattle. Like who? Hey, look, it's gray today. It's like I feel like Eeyore out there. It's just no.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Seattle that I feel about California. It's a beautiful place. I would love to live there if it weren't for the politics and the taxes.
Yeah,
and not necessarily in that order.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. And you know what? It really is. I will say unabashedly that Seattle probably is Seattle, San Francisco, two of the most beautiful cities in the country, certainly, and probably in the world. And but you can't count on it because it changes so quickly, especially Seattle. But San Francisco is, you get stuff coming in off the bay, and it again, before we even talk about the politics and so on. But it's tough if you don't like the change of weather like that, because they got snow in Seattle a bunch, not that long ago, and it was wow. So yeah, it's not always snowless in Seattle.
It's not always snowless, and I like John. It was a nice try. You failed miserably.
Everybody. But no, it was perfect. I know our listeners right now are saying that John has got it. Yeah.
Well, anytime you talk about our listeners, all I do is think about Bill, and usually Matt and Bill are the two that I think
because
about.
They're only
Bill walking around.
Yeah, they're
exactly.
Only two.
So right now I'm only thinking about Bill walking in probably 3 feet of snow. Because as he's listening to the podcast, we're going to have to make this a little longer so he can actually trudge through the snow.
Probably shorter, Nick, because he doesn't have to go as far. He's got
but he's very tall,
snowshoes
on. He can just kind of lift. Yeah. But
maybe it's cross-country skiing today.
It could be. That. Never thought of that.
Yeah, I'm a thinker.
It's a hell of a way to get around.
You are a thinker.
It's not for me, but I've heard it's really good for some people. Not for this.
Yes. It's like
you
don't mind the cold.
Sure.
Nick is going to build
I'm wearing my Canadian hat right now.
Yes, you are.
It's a real hat from Canada.
You're thinking of building
in Epcot
a winter home in the UP. I heard, Nick. Is that true?
Not in the UP. Why would I do that? It's the wrong M state.
It's very nice there. The UP.
I'm sure it is very nice. Yeah. I won't argue that, but it does not have enough snow after it. Right.
No.
I mean, I would have a house on Lake Michigan in Traverse City, and in the wintertime, I would go there on the 23rd of December and leave on the 26th.
In all seriousness, so I don't, as much as I would love to actually move away from Nashville and go somewhere where it's, either mountains or lakes or cold, something like that. I realize that we probably will never leave Nashville. So we have, between my family here, my wife and Peyton and I, and my in-laws in East Tennessee, we have the Cumberland Plateau.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very high in elevation. It's pretty much the only place in Tennessee where they get a lot of snow when it snows.
Cool.
And it stays for a few more days. So we're talking about buying some property between the two of us because it's almost right in the middle. Cool. And actually having it up there. And then every time we see snow in the forecast, we're going to race up there so we can actually be somewhere where there's snow. And then when it's gone, we'll just come home. I think that's
a good idea.
Only people that live in warm climates think like that. Like this past week, my nephew insisted on coming up to Ohio for Christmas. He lives down in Tampa. He has to come up, bugs my sister to come up. And I'm like, there's no snow here. It just looks terrible. And I want to go there. It's my favorite. Like, if you would have just waited a day, I was coming down to see you because it's 75 degrees down there. I want to go hang out with you. So only people in warm temperatures, kind of like only rich people are like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Like, okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It does matter.
Money does not make you happy. It makes me pretty happy. Yeah, when it's in my bank account, I'm pretty happy.
Snow doesn't either.
Yeah, snow.
Yeah,
what was me very happy.
What was the line somebody said is money money cannot buy happiness, but neither can poverty.
I've told Nick this before.
That's
my
true.
Proud moment as a father over the summer was at Cedar Point, standing in line with my oldest, and we had that little bit of talk. And I said, "Well, honey, I'm not going to tell you it's not going to make you happy." And she goes, "Well, then I guess I'll just cry in my Ferrari." I was like, I like that. That was like, having friends.
I like her.
I like her a lot. That's awesome.
That's more important. She's like, well, I can always just hire a friend. And they can pretend like they care.
Oh my gosh!
I was like, there's part of me that going, Mama, I'm really. You have been listening this whole time.
I am so proud.
Yeah, it's not going to necessarily make you happy, but not having it, you're definitely not going to be happy. She's like, I'll just cry in my Ferrari, and I remember this guy. I'm like, I'm
seeing Dad cheering up.
Yeah, we were comparing notes because. Matt and I were comparing notes because I was actually telling him that as everyone knows, we finally made it to Disney over the Christmas break.
Yeah,
and
that was amazing.
Got to see John and Lisa while I was down there. So that was a lot of fun, and we enjoyed that.
Was fun.
Anyway, for Christmas we gave Peyton a bank account, a checking account. She's always had a savings account, but we actually gave her a checking account so she could spend money. And we put $100 in there, and then her grandpa sent her another $100. So she had $200, and that was for her to spend at Disney, along with another $100 in gift cards. So guess what Peyton has right now from Disney, and we don't. My wife and I don't have.
If you started with 200.
Exactly. Yep. Because she didn't spend a dime.
Oh, that's
and she
beautiful.
got everything she wanted. So yeah, my wife and I are out like $300, and Peyton still has that in her bank account.
Genius.
Because she knows how to manipulate us to, buying everything she wants, which I should have brought the Ratatouille hat up. That would have been fun to have on. Maybe next week for the podcast, I'll wear my Ratatouille hat.
That is awesome. I love it. You got to love it when the kids talk you into spending your money. You're like,
yes.
Go here. Yeah. By the time we're done, you're like, you're going to get this. I got hit up for that yesterday. My kid tried to hit me up for something at the store. You can spend your money on this. By the time she got home, I didn't really want this, but I wanted that. What can I do to earn some money around here? And I'm like, shit, you know where this is going. I'm just going to buy it for her. Yeah. And she's not going to do anything. And that toy is eventually going to be tossed in to the side like everything else. And, I'm going to spend my money. Or when I asked them, well, how don't you spend your money? I don't want to spend my money on it. Why should you spend yours? Because you love me.
Yeah. Well, Peyton right now is working towards a gaming computer. That's what she really, really wants. And I told her, I said, listen, you get straight A's this year, the whole year, I will buy you a gaming computer.
Ooh.
And, logic's dictates that she probably won't do it, because I know my daughter, and I know she's done well. She's always been on the honor roll, but she's never gotten straight A's. So I'm pretty safe there. She hasn't been doing it that well at all this year in school. And she's like, how else can I get a gaming computer? I said, well, now you have a bank account and you have chores, you can earn it. And
Nice.
she's like, what do you mean? It's like, do chores, save up your money. Well, how much money do I need to save up? I said, I don't know, $4,000. And then she turns around, walks away. And I'm like, where are you going? She's going, I'm going to go study.
At least you realized that was a better path. Have somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
$2 a day. If you put away the dishes, it's going to be a lot longer than just go get this beer and grin. The only hard, she's still homeschooled, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no sucking up to the teacher to get that B to an A.
Right. Exactly.
Like there's at least 2 out of 3 of us on the podcast that are thinking like, oh, I'd have been fine. I'd have talked the teacher into it. I'd have sold him on it that this is a good idea. I gave him, you can have this laptop if I could get this gaming computer. I know what a teacher's salary is. This is much nicer than we
So Matt, the reason I was bringing all of that up, all that is coming around to a head here because you have told me in the past that you want to move to Florida or to a warmer climate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is how far down the horizon for you, I guess.
Well, I mean,
what has to change? Because it's not your job that's stopping you.
No, it's not the job that's stopping me. And actually it's really come around to is more of a, I want to move there now. It might be I have to get a second property in a warm place because my kids are really out on where we would move down there, except for the Dennis the Menace, the son. He'll move anywhere, especially if you're somewhere where you can have a golf cart. Like that's all he cares about. So if it's a golf course community, he's in. But where we live now is so nice, it's small. The school district's great, and we've had those conversations before. When you start to move to certain retiree states, I wouldn't want to pay extra money for somebody's school district if I don't have any kids, and that's been a concern. And then these housing prices in the past year have just gone insane. Where Ohio to Florida used to be a pretty easy move. Now it's like housing costs in Florida versus Ohio. And then I take the schools that aren't depending on where I'm going to. So for me, it's probably looking like what's my youngest is in first grade, 11 years. Not like I'm counting,
And it's 2022.
Yeah. So 2033, 34 in that area there is when I'm thinking of when that could be official. The other ones that we've looked at is just, I don't even look anymore. I'm getting away from warmer climate to just more active climate. Like where can I be outside more? That's what drives me nuts right now is if I get stuck in this bubble, because we don't get enough snow up in Ohio. It's ice off the lake. It's not stuff you want to be out in. I mean, I joke around, but I'm sure if you gave me 30 degrees and sunshine and light fluffy snow, I'll get a snowmobile or something else and get outside in it and play. Negative 20, I'm kind of out on that. Just doesn't seem enjoyable.
Well, and you nailed it right there. That's me, because people make fun of me. Obviously, John does all the time. You do too, because I do like cold. I like snow. But where I grew up, we were out more often in the winter than we were in the summer. Yeah. Not that we weren't, because we were out in the summer a lot too. That's what Minnesota is known for. So they're just constantly that type of outdoor lifestyle that you're talking about, that active lifestyle. Yeah. That is what Minnesotans are known for year round. You can't get that down here. It's 26 degrees out. There's snow on the ground. I have not seen a neighbor leave their house yet today.
But let's be clear. I do not necessarily view ice fishing with a case of beer and camping out on a frozen lake with 6 feet of ice frozen as outdoor activity. Because you got a heater on the inside.
I didn't say everybody, but it's the cross country skiing, the downhill skiing, the snowshoeing, the hockey, the
hills are so small in Minnesota. It's not like the downhill skiing takes 2 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, there are only 2 hills and they're hills. There are 2 hills that you can really use. I think there's 3 actually.
Downhill ski. They don't even have they've got a guy at the top of the hill pulling the tow rope. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the person.
No, Lutsen. You got to go up to Lutsen sometime.
No, I don't.
They have at least 3 guys pulling the
do they?
Up there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I stand corrected.
Well, no, actually they use a snowmobile. They hook it to the back and they just keep going around.
Nice.
It's got a pulley, snowmobile pulley. Yeah.
John, what made you make the decision to move down to Florida? What was the...
Well, our son took a job down here. Yeah. So it's our only son. He has our only granddaughter. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And yeah, we, like you, we went through the whole properties are expensive. We didn't want to build a house. We were thinking, let's just buy something, fix it up. The problem is they kept going. I mean, while we were looking, they kept going up in price. And then, you know, you see this house that needs $100,000 worth of work to bring it up to date. And it's top of the market right now. And we're, let's just build something. And so we've talked about building, and we had the lot, and we hired the builder, and we secured the finances, and they haven't cleared the land yet. So we've got all but one permit handled. So once the permits are in, the builder claims that he's ready to roll. So we're hopeful that that will happen. But in the meantime, we got lucky. We're in a tiny, but exactly what we need, 2-bedroom, 2-bath house that we're renting. And we actually told the lady who manages the property is also a realtor. And I said, we'd buy it if the price is right, because I'm thinking a flip would be a good thing to keep our minds busy while we're waiting on the house to be done. Because there's a bunch of stuff this place needs, you know. It's a rental, you know, but it's clean and what's that?
You said you could bring it up a little bit, bring it
for sure. Value. That's the idea anyway. But we'll see. It's just stuff is expensive, and I mean, we'll build the house, go through all of that, and it'll probably instantly be worth at least $50,000 more than we paid for it. And I'm not, you know, all because we are so brilliant. It's just we don't want to sell it because it's not worth $50,000 to have to. Oh, I guess we're in the market again.
That's what, honey. Don't get unpacked here.
That's the worst kind of flip to do, is the one that you build yourself.
That too. You know, you make a point, because that's something that has been a topic of conversation, at least in my neighborhood, especially. And I had a neighbor down the street who said, and this was right at the beginning of COVID, we were joking around, and he's like, "Yeah, man, if my house hits 500,000, I'm out. I'm selling." And his wife looked at him and said, "If our house makes it to 500,000 and we can sell it, where the hell are we going?" Yeah. And that's the case. That's what everyone here, at least here, is finding. You know, doesn't matter what your house is worth. If it could triple in value. The problem is now you got that money, but you can't find another house.
Well, not in that area. That's right.
Yeah. Like that's what's happening around here. There's nothing for sale. So I want a bigger house, bigger piece of property. I'd have to know somebody that's going, oh, well, we kind of want to downsize. I have this if you want it. You pay too much for mine, I'll pay too much for yours. You know, I mean, you know,
it's exactly
sort of like trading in a car these days. It's kind of the same thing. It's great to trade it, but you better have a trade in, or you're paying super retail.
We started our conversation earlier. Matt had asked me how, because I was looking at a new car over the holiday, and mainly because I keep getting offers on my car that are just, it's almost too good to say no to. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's take my car. They're going to give me more on trade than I paid for it. So take that, put a little bit money down, lease what I want. Cause we've talked about this. I love my car, but it's not exactly what I wanted anyways. I have never really had the car exactly what I want. So that's easy. Go find it. No, I spent probably 2 days doing research, going 250, 300 miles. Actually, even Matt sent, and you're how many miles away from me?
I'm at least 9 hours. So I'm, 600 miles away from you.
600 miles. And he was sending me stuff. Yep. And I mean, that's how far out I was going. And it still wasn't exactly what I wanted. And it's virtually impossible to find what you want. And I wasn't sticking to one manufacturer either. I was looking at 4 or 5 different manufacturers just to find something that I wanted. And, there is one, it will remain nameless, that I was really looking at, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
So from where you're pointing, Nick, it looks like you're pointing at a boat, because we can't see your sign.
No, it's a little higher.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, you can't see my?
No, it looks like you're pointing at a sailboat.
I can in mine.
Like
I can in
Columbus
mine. It's right here.
Wow.
People see it when I edit.
You were thinking of buying a park?
Yeah.
Yeah, buying a park. Exactly.
Or another degree?
Yeah. It's exactly. Yes. Yes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You should get another one of those.
You should.
I should. And another useless piece of paper.
Yep.
Hey, right now they've extended the federal government repayment, so why not?
Yeah.
Just tack on that extra $100,000 for another
Hey,
piece of paper.
Flip back
30 years.
to that topic of where I want to move and what I get. So yeah, I want to move to like Florida or Georgia, but right now I'd probably settle. It'd probably be like a real good trade. Oh, we'll go to Cincinnati. I really want there.
Nice.
Look at
Hey,
me.
you're going south.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
move. You can move across the river, and you're in Kentucky. So
Oh, I know. Yeah.
then you're in the south.
Yeah. Officially, right?
Yeah.
Do I get to talk funny?
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as I get to Covington,
Why
I
not?
get to talk funny. I'm going there this
Exactly.
week. I hope they don't listen to this. And
jeez.
now they'll be mad at me.
Oh my goodness. So Matt, have you been doing any traveling lately?
Yeah.
Besides, I know holiday wise.
Yeah, I know.
Admit the holidays.
I've been
but
out traveling actually quite a bit. Yeah,
anything interesting happen while you've been out there doing what you do?
What do you mean interesting? As in, I haven't seen any good crazy shit. I mean, I've saw some people started coming glued in the airport lately. At some before the holidays.
You saw them? You were there?
Yeah, it was actually there. Yeah, it was actually there. But yeah, there was a couple people came unglued on the ticket agents, screaming, yelling. I haven't seen anything crazy like you saw in the airport. You saw that lady last week that punched that guy in the face. I mean, thankfully, I haven't encountered that type of stuff. Everything else has been kind of, it's weird because it's still COVID restrictions, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
I came across have you guys seen these little robots that they have in some of these places that you walk up and it takes your temperature that you don't even know it? Like it looks like a cleaning device. There was one looked like I got a picture. I'll send it to you. And as you walk over, look at what it is. It tells all of a sudden you see it goes normal temperature. You should still consider wearing a mask. I was like, wow, that's like seriously
at the airport or somewhere else?
This was in a hotel. Down in Cincy. Yeah, it was by the elevator, and I was like, oh, what's that? I thought it was one of the robot like cleaning devices, and then this screen opened up and it had like a outline of me, and then it took my temperature, and I felt violated. I didn't, I stayed away from it after that.
Well, the only problem was I was a little surprised they used a rectal thermometer.
Yeah.
Were you really surprised, John? Were you really?
And how many times did you check it then?
I was there 7 times at that hotel. I love that place. Can I use points to stay here? Yeah.
Oh boy. Wow.
Yeah. So no, I haven't seen anything weird. What have you been coming across lately? Because
nothing weird for me, but I did learn something very interesting. So once in a while, I'm assuming both of you have TSA PreCheck.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When you fly.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. I will, for whatever it is, 120, whatever, every 5 years,
mm-hmm.
It's to me, it's 100% worth it, even if you fly 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
That said, when you book your tickets, usually if I book the tickets, Jen and Peyton will automatically get bumped up to PreCheck, which is nice. And it doesn't happen every time, and it also depends on how you book the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, because we've had to change our travel plans so often because of COVID, and so my ticket was separate from theirs. So they didn't benefit from having the PreCheck. So I knew that I could go through PreCheck with our bags because we didn't check a bag on the way to Orlando. And then I wouldn't have to worry about it and then send them through the regular check. I'm like, I might be carrying too much because I'd have to be 2 roll bags and a backpack. I'm like, I wonder if Peyton can come with me.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and it actually says that any child 12 or younger, even if they don't have PreCheck on their pass, can travel with an adult who has PreCheck.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I brought Peyton through, and I prepped her, and I'm really proud of her, by the way. I prepped her. Say, if they ask you your name, you give them your name quick. You give them your age. Blah 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 blah. On the way back from Orlando, the TSA person asked her, "Okay, what's your name, honey?" She said, "Peyton Cubic," and she was very clear. And he said, "How old are you?" 9, right? So he was kind of leading her on, and she's like, "No, I'm 11." I'm like, That's my girl. She told the truth. She didn't
Good for
whether
her.
he was trying to lead her on so she would say 9 or he was trying to trick her. I don't know, but she was honest and stuck to her guns,
Good
and
for
she said
her.
it clearly.
That's
And
cool.
I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. But anyway, yes, children at 12 or under can actually come with you on a PreCheck pass, which has made it really, really nice. So we took everything. So Jen had her ID and her phone so she could show her ticket. And she made it through security so fast because she didn't have to put anything through the bag check. All she had to do was take off her shoes, and then Peyton and I just flew right through. It was fantastic, and it was so busy at the airport, both airports, that it was crazy.
Well, Orlando's terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
Even with PreCheck, this is, and I shouldn't say that. It's in historically speaking, and this was before COVID, it was difficult just because there are so many families, but some of those families got PreCheck too. And some elderly folks get PreCheck. And I'm just like, suddenly PreCheck is not that big a deal in Orlando. Now, if you have Clear, which is another get through quickly, Orlando's a big market for Clear because people that fly out of there regularly use it all the time. So anyway, it was one of the TSA people said, I'm trying to think, this was probably before PreCheck even. This is how old I am. And I was flying first class. And so usually they had a first class, whatever. They had a first class line versus, the regular line. And one of the TSA guys says, well, I don't think it's fair to everyone else if you go through first. So he made me go through the regular line, even though they clearly had the separate. I'm whatever, not going to argue.
Wow.
But he was just like being a dick about it. And anyhow,
that's one thing I've noticed with the PreCheck people have all been fantastic.
Oh, they're
never
amazing.
I have never had a dick going through, and they've all been cheery. They've all been nice. Probably because people with PreCheck most of them are
business travelers,
normal business travelers who fly a lot, and they're all, we understand it, and we just want to get through fast. So we're going to do everything right.
Get through fast and make it. I mean, look, you don't disrespect anybody doing that stuff. Just get through. If you're being a wise guy or whatever, it's going to hold everybody up. And it's just not that important. It's
I mean, if you're like Matt, I mean, how many cavity checks have you had in the last year, Matt?
I have it basically when I'm going to Chicago. We're in agreement that they're going to pull my bag to the side and check it. I'm just grateful that there's only one cavity check that time, not two. They want to double check, make sure.
So you're pretty used to the snapping noise.
Yes, the snapping noise, and the only person that pisses off is my ENT and my proctologist, because then I don't need to go to see him. He's like, wow. And then I figured out that it's cheaper that way too. Just go through there.
I thought you were sick, but you were coughing out of habit.
Yes, yeah. nothing to see there. So when you talk about that with Clear, I got Clear a year ago, and I thought, I don't know if I'll do this shit again. And then now after having it, I'm like, there's just no way. So with Clear as well, Nick, you can add people on that can go through. Even if your wife can't get, added on or get PreCheck, she can still get to the front of the line with Clear.
Oh, cool.
So instead of sending, so you can add up to, I think it's 3 or 4 people onto that. And they can also travel alongside with.
Interesting.
That's a cool one.
I've been debating on Clear, and I've noticed coming back to Nashville, it is where it would benefit me the most. In Nashville, it doesn't really benefit me. And there's only one gate in Nashville where you can get it, because the other gate where the majority of people are, which is the one that has Southwest and American on it, it's the big gate, the one that's 10 miles long. That one doesn't have a Clear check. The really short one where United goes and Spirit, that one has a Clear checkpoint. So now they have opened up the through, so you could go through that one in essence.
I
have been considering it
anymore. From when I started flying out there 6 years ago, I don't recognize that place. It's all, I mean, it's great to see what they've done there, but I'm like, where is this? And I get turned around so quick when I'm in there. I fly in one gate, I fly back out that long Southwest gate, and I'm like, where did this come from?
We actually had a connection in Nashville going Fort Myers, Nashville, Milwaukee. And I booked it because it was, $300 less. And it was a long layover, but yeah, it was. So it was great. It was one of those weird things where I was on a business ticket, and Lisa was on one that I paid for, a personal ticket, and we did not get the pre-check together. So she actually, it was a lot slower going the regular route than pre-check. And it's not like I could have gone the regular route. You have to go pre-check if you're pre-check.
Mm-hmm.
And so
depends on the airport.
I guess maybe so, but everyone I've been to and have had an inkling to try. And so it's pretty funny because I always say to Lisa, honey, I don't want to go through pre-check. I have to. So thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hi,
Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa is an avid listener.
She is. And it's funny because we've talked about this before, but it's great because in this small house proximity that we're in, she's in the other room and she'll have her earphones in. I hear, and PoddiMouths. And she goes, no, I never laugh at PoddiMouths. But she was kidding. It was PoddiMouths. It's fun hearing her laugh when Nick says something funny. She never laughs at my stuff, though.
No. Well, or making a fool of myself, which is pretty
never
common.
That
more
never
often
happens.
No,
more
that
often
never
than
happens.
I just need to get some new material. That's all, because she's heard all my stuff.
That's true. Anyway. So clear, huh, Matt?
Yeah, I would.
So
I still think. I mean, it's a little much. What's $129 or something like that a year?
Is that what it is?
You can click the link at the bottom of the screen to get your ID set up today.
They should be sponsors.
Yes,
it's $129 unless you have United.
Yep.
If you're a United, because United has a deal where it's like $98.
But I would do that again. I tell my kids, because after they got used to traveling that way, I'm like, all right, next time, piss me off and you're traveling with your mother and the rest of them, go ahead. I got clear though. I got clear the day that I got clear. I was going back up to Minneapolis to get my pre-check redone. It was the day after the draft. So they only had one terminal open. It was from one side to the other at the checkpoint. And the lady's like, would you like to sign up for clear? Oh, it'll get you to the front of the line. It could have been $300 on your fucking time.
Yes, I would.
And then the other thing you watch out for in Cleveland is everybody going to Frontier and Spirit, going down to Florida. And like you said, don't screw. It's not that people are messing with anybody at TSA. Nobody can follow instructions, right?
Yeah.
You see people trying to put through 25-inch suitcases. They don't know how to take things off. I mean, that's what jams everything up. It's all the shit people are carrying.
Especially around the holidays too.
Yes.
I mean, it's exacerbated around the holidays. Yeah.
Yep. And on those low budget carriers, they're always trying to get the stuff through because you don't want to check it. It's not $30; it's $100 to check a bag. So that's where you get pulled there.
So speaking of, I'll tell you my story, and then I want to hear from you guys what you do to make your experience through security, whether it's clear, whether it's TSA, whether it's regular, just to make your pass through easier. Mm-hmm. So when we went to Florida, I was the one who I forcefully made myself in charge of the packing because I knew I could pack three of us for an entire week I could probably do it into one bag if I really needed to, but I knew I'd need another bag coming home, which we did.
Yep.
And so I packed into 2 roller bags and a backpack. And I was able to do all of that. In fact, the first time I went down to Orlando for our September try at it, I actually packed myself for 2 weeks in one bag, plus putting Peyton for a week in my bag. So I can pack really, really, really tightly and really, really well. So what are some of the things that you guys do that help you go quickly through security so they don't check your bag, so it goes through the X-ray machine without any trouble? Are there any tips or tricks that you tell, or that you guys do that we can tell our listeners? Because now we have 2.
Yeah. John, you go ahead. I
well,
a couple, but they're not that good.
Yeah, I mean, mine are pretty run of the mill in that I first of all I take out my firearms.
Mm-hmm. Good idea. Yeah.
I find
I'm going to write that down.
I find that's helpful to remove the firearms and a C4. That's never a good.
You send the drugs via UPS that you don't want to violate anything with the United States Postal Service.
No, yeah, we're all on watch lists now. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate
Thanks, Matt.
Line of questioning. Yeah.
Matt is never a guest again.
It's really, there aren't any tricks. It's kind of follow the rules. And I've seen people that come in with the full size bottles of shampoo you can't get through, and they're gonna pull you with that stuff. I'm joking obviously about the firearms. However, I took my my backpack to the range when I was just doing shooting practice, and and the gun had been in there with ammo, and they, I mean, obviously I pulled it out, and I don't even think I was traveling with it, which would have been checked bags, obviously. So I just had taken everything out, and they did the random check with,
Oh no, the swab.
the swab check, and they said, we're getting a positive here on this. I said, you're welcome to look through it. I said, I know what happened, and explained it to them. And it was, a little bit, but they were professional about it and just fine. They said, that's what happened. And they looked through it and, okay, all right, thanks a lot. But yeah, they detected the gunpowder residue or whatever it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've had a similar thing way back when I had a backpack that I carried my computer and stuff in when I was working in television. And we actually went to a presidential event. So I took my bag. I had taken my bag with me to the shooting range, and I had set it down. I didn't put any guns in it or anything, but I just set it there. And we were there for a few hours. And then I took it with me the next, a couple of days later. And you have to take all of your gear. So, I've got my camera, I've got my tripod, I've got my backpack with my computer in it, and I'm walking and I set it down. And then you've got to walk away from it. You have to stand about 50 yards back while they send the dogs around. Oh. And they sniff. And I had a dog hit on my bag 3 times. And had to do the same thing. Had to pull it apart, say, this is what happened. And that was not TSA though. That was
Secret Service.
That was Secret Service.
Yeah.
That was a little bit more scary.
Yes.
So, hey, Matt, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
It's moving around in the background there.
Oh, that's okay.
It's the maid.
It's the maid. Oh.
Wow.
So, do I need to say hi, Nikki? Hi, Nikki.
The dishes and the laundry still aren't getting done.
You mean the maid who was grossly underpaid, right?
Oh,
the underpaid maid.
Slave labor.
Yeah.
Slave labor.
I'm in all sorts of trouble after this. IRS.
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah, with her.
Welcome to PoddiMouths. We're always in trouble when we get done.
Yeah,
that's so true.
I'm in big trouble. So with
I still think it's a benefit that Jen doesn't listen to the podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Matt,
you give her all your details and the shit you shouldn't be doing. As far as travel hacks, I pack everything like I'm always traveling for business. So I only use like up to a 22-inch carry-on. So I do, since I have status with United now, thanks to my friend Nick that told me after all these years, hey, by the way, your Marriott status gets United status. Oh, really? I fly back and forth to Chicago all the time. I should probably have this. It hasn't worked for shit for me. No, I take that back. Lately, I've just been sitting in the exit row.
It hasn't worked for shit for me.
Yeah,
that is a benefit.
Yeah, there is a benefit, especially since planes are full. So I still always check a bag. It doesn't cost me anything, but in case I'm running behind, everything I have in my travel bag is travel ready. So I don't keep anything that's over 3.5 ounces, just in case. Even when I am traveling on the road, I don't throw things in there that I can't just take through there, because my suitcase doesn't get unpacked anymore, even over the last couple of weeks. I'm looking for clothes I can't find, and you guys all know this. And like, I thought I had these. No, they're just packed in the suitcase. I use packing cubes all the time. And then I hate to say, but what can be repurposed? Like when you're wearing something, can you wear a nicer pair of jeans that if you had to go out, you could wear a suit coat with? And, what shoes can I, how can I not have to pack 3 pairs of shoes? So everything I pack matches an outfit. So, that kind of stuff for me is the big, plus to traveling light. And I
find that Garanimals help me with that. The giraffe thing goes with the giraffe shirt. It's
now it's the palm trees with the
right
with the Tommy Bahama shirt with the Tommy Bahama.
Yeah,
I don't do anything else with getting through security. I I pack food. I just keep it in a big bag, so it's accessible. I have packed some stuff that's gotten me questioned before. I pack a cigar cutter, even though I never smoke when I'm on the road, but I have one of those. I've gotten a torch lighter through. They tell you not to, but I tell them at the gate, and they just tell me throw it in the bucket, and it goes through every single time. I haven't had an issue with that. But something you brought up, Nick. When you talk about the drug smelling dogs, I just want to know, like, why they got to make them so cute? Like, if you don't want me petting the dog,
I know,
don't make it so approachable. Like, don't make it a golden retriever.
Yep.
But I'm gonna pet the fucking German Shepherd too.
Oh, absolutely.
But they don't want to.
I had to have a serious conversation with Peyton when we were passing it was a Belgian Malinois, and it was so cute. And Peyton wanted to go up. I'm like, you cannot touch these dogs. Yep. She's like, why? And I, tried to explain it to her, and it just doesn't work because I want to go pet the dog too.
Well, yeah, especially when they come up and they sniff you. I just put my hand out, and again, can't pet the dog. Tell the dog quit. He's the one that came up on me, sniffing me.
Right, exactly.
All I'm doing is
pet the passengers.
Yeah.
Stop petting the passengers. Don't feed the passengers.
Yeah.